Okay, and we're live. Welcome to another episode of the AfroGamer Podcast, where we discuss everything gaming and esports in Africa. Today, we do have special guests in our midst. We do have Moussa Camara from Guinea. He'll be representing esports in Guinea. And we have Stephen Ojo, who will also be representing esports in Nigeria. Today's topic rather will be, um, career professionals and their esports crossover. So, Musa Camara is an engineer, and Stephen Ojo is a lawyer. So we'll be discussing, your crossovers into esports. So the question should be now is,
Uh, Prospective lawyer, prospective.
okay, prospective lawyer. I stand to be corrected. So let's start with Musa Camara. As an
Yes.
engineer, why esports
Mhm.
and how did the journey start for you?
Oh, and maybe let me share this with you. Uh, let's say when you mean an engineer, I am not an
Yes,
engineer
yes,
coming from school. I
yes,
am
yes.
an engineer made by the journey of esport. From school, I am a mathematician.
Okay,
Okay. Then from the mathematics that I have learned after my high school, I went to Ivory Coast to finish the university to do perfection, let's say to make perfection in algebra and geometrics. And then they give me a reward. Then I came back in my country and I start working in a radio station that is called Nostalgia. You can see it behind.
okay,
And I think I am here now. It is more than 10 years working for this radio station. And parallelly came in our country in 2008 a telecommunication company called let me keep its name because I don't want to make a free publicity. Okay, so that telecommunication company, let's say, took some guys like me, just coming out from school, and trained them as a technician. And I have spent there, and let's say, I have gone through some levels of technical departments, and then from statistic to RF engineering, IT, and finally I am a pre-sale engineer at another company. But it is all in telecommunication, and I'm doing it parallelly with the radio station. But again, I'm telling you, this engineer status was built during the journey of esport, because from the mathematician level, I have, let's say, I have reason a love for video games since I was kid, and I think I have shared already that with you. And I continue learning about informatics, about video games development, about web hosting, how things are going. And now I'm finally an engineer, a made engineer, self-made engineer, maybe we can call like that.
okay. So it's nice that you told us that story, but once again, your career path was being a mathematician. So you had at some point to cross over to esports, and
Yes.
so even if someone went to school for sociology, that was a career path, and so on. So it's still an interesting story. For Steven, you can go ahead and tell us your story. Why esports, and tell us your journey.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you everyone for welcoming me to the show. Basically, yeah, I have, as you all know, I have a legal background. I'm a law graduate, and so what just led me into esport basically is my passion for gaming. What led me into esport is my passion for gaming because I'm an avid gamer myself. And up until last 2 years, I never knew of, the competitive side of esports and the whole industry that flows around it. And the moment I discovered that, okay, look, Steven, you like games, and there's actually an industry around this thing that you definitely like. So why not just give it a go? And I started researching, started applying my legal background, to write on articles about the innovative areas in esports. And lastly, for my undergraduate thesis, I actually wrote on esports in Nigeria, and I had an A for that project. And so, yeah, that's how I've been able to navigate my passion for law and also to navigate my passion for gaming. So basically, I call that esport law. So that's just the short story of my journey.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Being Africans, they expect you to either be something, doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant. And now, if you are having a conversation with your peers and you tell them you're into esports, they'll ask you, what is that? um what don't you feel some type of way when you now have to start explaining something that they have no idea about? Because one time if you say I'm a lawyer, they'll be like, oh, okay, where do you work? And there's a direction towards that
Yeah.
conversation. But once you say, for Musa, you say, oh, I'm an engineer, I work, I'm into the esports industry. How does that conversation go? Because I'm sure you have to do a little bit of educating.
Okay, do I go first?
Yes, you
Okay.
can.
Okay, for me, yes, it's actually quite interesting because when you tell people that, oh, when I tell people I'm a prospective esport lawyer, I want to practice industry. They look at me like, okay, what are you talking about? The fact that it's a developing area, people seem to be interested at first. I mean, the first thing you need to face as a young guy coming up in this industry is you have to convince your parents that, okay, look, oh, I need to focus so hours in gaming and stuff like that. In fact, it was not until when I first got my first esports role with Playmon that my parents started taking me seriously and all of that, because I had to, because in this esport industry, you have to deepen your love for the game, by either playing games, reviewing game articles and things like that.
Mhm.
So when you're doing things like that, your mates are looking at you like, what are you doing? And trust me, it might look very, very how do I put it, confusing at first, because most of your mates are trying to delve into corporate finance, going into advanced maybe aviation law and things like that, but you are now into gaming. But I just feel like if you can focus, and try to navigate your way around the industry at first, try to keep up with global trends, then it's actually a viable industry to go into. So I feel like, first of all, you don't just need to say, I'm an esport lawyer, I'm an esport engineer. You need to also back it up with a little bit of, product output that you've been doing. So you need to show people that, okay, look, I've been able to do this and this. And yeah, so for me, I feel like it's the role I got with Playmonk that really made people, be interested in what I do and things like that.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you, Dr. Wale, for joining us. Dr. Wale is a medical doctor and he's part of Esports Nigeria. Thank you for joining us.
Dr. Wally,
Dr. Wali,
welcome.
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 Okay, so before you joined us, Wale, we were saying, everyone was telling their story from how what their career was coming out of school and how they got into the esports journey. So, yours would definitely be interesting. A medical doctor in esports. I'm sure our viewers and listeners would want to hear this story.
We are not getting him, eh? We are not
So we're
getting
not
him.
hearing you. Probably adjust your mic. Still not hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
now we can hear you.
Everyone can hear me now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Yes, we can.
I actually apologize once again. Actually, it's been a very long call. So I had the surgery in the morning, so I had to get back again to the studio, and now I'm in the studio. So here's the thing: the my story on esports. Um, it's not weird. It's just been part of what I grew up to love, right? As a young boy, you're passionate. You want to play games, and I kind of found a lot of peace. Playing games. I found expression. Let me just put it like that. As a gamer, I found lots of expression. It was part of my childhood, playing games and doing it together. So I remember back then when I was young, it was my sister I play games with because I'm the only son out of three. And she was actually quite good at it. You remember the days of Super Nintendo and all of that. So that's what we were playing together. And when she's a doctor too, like me, and she still plays games actually.
Oh wow.
So what really caught my interest was I studied in Europe, and back then I had a couple of friends who we came together. We played over, LAN. So I'm in my room. I'm playing Counter Strike with some other guy who is just in this other room. And from LAN parties, and coming together, we realized that it was part of the banter when you are talking about, okay, you are good at this, I'm good at that. Gaming also came into the whole discussion, and I grew into it. I found it as another place where we can hang out, find better expression of ourselves, and show off some other skills that we have, and another form of interpersonal engagement. So that was what took my interest in gaming. And when I finally realized that people can actually make a profession out of it, I felt that, okay, Nigerians, rather than you having the concept of people going into fraud and all manner of things like that, why don't you develop an esports brand where you can support people that can come in, they are good at playing games, and they play games and they get something out of it. So that was what took me into it. That's what took me into esports generally, and so far it's been a very funny journey. Knowing fully well, Ife, you must very well know how it is doing esports in Nigeria. But little by little, we've been able to make good headway, and I see what a couple of my friends here are doing, and I've been really impressed. But basically, that's my story. That's what brought me into the esports world. I found it as a place where I could engage with people on a different level. We could have interesting banter together, and that was what brought me here. And it's quite interesting that I actually started esports just from that. So
Okay, thank you. So back to Musa. I was asking, your conversations when you're meeting people, and you tell them, people say, "Oh, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer," and you say, "Oh, whatever I'm doing, I'm an engineer in the esports industry for, you know, esports in Guinea." How does that conversation go? Because I'm sure people look at you like, "Okay, what does that entail?"
Okay, I will not let's say, I will not come back on what Stefan already said, because he has already summarized what is really happening in my side also. But something is to be added, like when we are going to discuss with people, first of all, we are already showing what esports means, what it is reacting, let's say, what it is showing, and uh, let's say what it is in real aspect, in front of people and with people doing it. Like when I am an engineer working in esports field, it means that I am deeply looking at technical issues. I'm searching for news about all the outgoing games, all the technical connectivity, everything that related about the telecommunication, all the coming up news about all this stuff around it. And from my side, it had been interesting for me because most of the youth, when you talk about esport, they know about video games like games, but about the industry that is behind the esport, then it is another thing. Then you have to be a teacher to explain to them, no, you know, you can be like a web developer that can make you win money, and you can like, I'm sorry, my English is not so well, but I'm trying to be more clear.
No, we understand you. We understand
Okay,
you. That's fine.
okay, okay. And like I was saying, for instance, I have been to the Ministry of Sport, and when I was asking to create a federation, and I told them, oh, I want to create a federation, and they told me, oh, what is esport? What is esport? What is it about? I was now asked to explain deeply and about all the strategy, but what we have to retain is that for African people, when you say you are working in esport field, it's like you are showing them something new and they don't know about it. I mean, in Africa, I'm not talking about those African who went out and came back. That are different, but the one that are residing or that are staying in our
Very,
countries,
very
it
true.
yeah, it is a new thing, and most of
Very
them
true.
don't have game. Most of them don't have even TV at home. And when you are talking about esport, you are talking about video game PS4, they ask you, what is PS4? I don't know. What I know is maybe Tetris or Game Boy on that kind of stuff. So talking about esport like industry that can raise money, it is different issue, and you have to be talking with guys who are already let's say in the field to understand a little bit what it is about really. That's it.
Okay, thank you for that. Dr. Wale. Hello, Dr. Wale. Are you still with us?
I think he has left a little bit.
Okay, that's okay. So let's move on with the growth of esports in Africa. How left to you your speculation. How do you think you know different professionals will start to cross over from the conversations you've had? How do you think in the nearest future that is going to happen? Rather than oppose, we know definitely the younger generation are catching on faster, but our generation and those who are career oriented, how do you think accepting esports moving on with the way it's developing in Africa? I'll throw that to Steven.
Ah, okay. Steven is here.
Okay, I think Steven is on.
Okay, I can go with the
Oh
question,
yeah,
and
yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. Okay. So for me, I feel like yes, in with the rate of development in Africa, there will be a lot of professional crossover the nearest future. But I would just like to put a little bit of caveat there. We should right now. I feel like this is the best time for us to really identify the people that are really professionals that are really interested in the industry, because there's a particular trend here in Africa where everybody just sit back, everybody relax, wait for that boom to happen before everybody's waiting for it. All of a sudden professionals. Yes, there's going to be a lot of development, but the real professionals should not wait till when the development happens before they then choose to join in the movement. You need to start from the scratch, apply what you have. Every the way esport works is every profession is actually connected to it. A medical doctor, you can work in esport medicine, esport nutrition, and things like that. An engineer, you work in technology. So esport is an industry that really welcomes any professional. And so this is actually the best time, for people to actually jump in, because by the time, esports gets that necessary development, we don't want to be seeing so many people coming in to say they are professionals already, because we will identify people that have been on ground, since the time of the growth and everything. So that's just what I have to say. Yes, we'll definitely see a lot of professional crossover in the future.
Okay. Musa, would you like to take a crack at it?
Yes, of course. From my side, what I would like to say about this step is like we have to be pragmatic. We have to take the advance on this campaign. We have to be more in the action to show to the guys who are closer to us. For example, our friends, our colleagues in workspace, to tell them what are the advantages that we have found in esports. And for instance, talking about the school teachers, we should approach them to explain them and to take for example some schools that are already using esports to develop their schedules and to take it and grab the school, let's say, to grab the children, or let's say to kids mind, to make them more concentrated during the classes. Okay, so these are some points that we can work on and try to bring people on the positive vibes around the esport, and then they will see from themselves what we are talking about is not vain.
Okay, okay, okay. That's interesting. So, Dr. Wale, I think we lost you when I was throwing that question at you.
Okay.
How does your conversation go when you are speaking to your colleagues and you tell them you're into esports? Because
Uh, yeah,
it's
I
more
remember.
like, yeah, it's more like medicine, esports. But I'm sure the look at you was like,
It's
what?
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my friends don't know I'm actually well invested into esports. Actually, just a few days ago, a friend of mine who was in the UK, he actually just moved. So, and he works now. I think he works as a nurse, and he was telling me just some few days ago that, man, that he's just been seeing some crazy gameplays online and looking at, generally gaming. And I told him, that guy, do you know that people play games for profession? He was like, yeah, he's just actually seeing some of those things that, wow, that this is crazy. That I said, "Y- I said, you've not heard of esports before, probably. He was like, he hasn't really known what it was until he came to the UK and he saw some of those things, and he was wowed by it. And I told him that that's what I do, and that's what we are hoping to do for, Nigerian people in years to come. The truth remains, esports as it is. Each time I tell people that this is what I do, they're like, wait, how does medicine actually even relate to esports? Well, a lot of people do not know that. A lot of people do not know that there are so many other things that are that are involved with esports generally. Because the moment you begin to talk about people playing a professional sport, then you start talking about their health. You talk about their mental health, because gaming generally, it's mental work. So brain development is always very important in esports, and that's part of the things that you focus on. There are some very important data that are coming out from the gaming industry. For example, some people do not know that actually playing first-person shooter games actually increases your brain to hand coordination. It
Mhm.
actually does that. It significantly improves your brain to hand coordination. So that means that whatever it is that you see, you are able to respond quickly So your response time is actually improved when you play Call of Duty on at least on a regular basis. So these are things, because it's gaming generally is a mental thing. So, and brain development will always be involved. So these are important data that will be coming into the conversation very soon, with people talking about gaming and mental health. Yes, which game are people not actually addicted to? People get addicted to football. People get addicted to other games. So when people say esports or video games are addictive, it's actually a subjective context. It depends on what you are trying to talk about. So I feel that during this time, there will be a lot of interaction. We would need to have more conversations like what we are having now, and then more action. When people see what esports can do for them, I believe that there will be much more buzz and interest around it. So I think the developed world has been leading, showing us the way, and Africa is also taking its own stand in terms of esports. And I believe that the more we keep doing something like this, the better it will be for us. Ife.
Oh, thank you very much. Just to add to the example you gave about the benefits of gaming and esports, I read an article where they said it also improves how kids approach questions in class.
Yes, yes,
And
it does.
I was shocked because there've been this back and forth as to it's addictive, it's distracting, it's not allowing kids to do
Yes,
their homework. But like
yes.
you said, when you play games like Call of Duty or even adventure games,
Because you have to look for other ways to win. Ideally,
exactly.
that's just what it does. So, and most times when you now look at the physical world, you have to look for other ways to get things done, and
Mhm.
that's just it. So, and to do that, you ask questions, you ask the right questions. So I totally agree.
Yeah, so they said it improves problem solving skills, hands
Yes.
down. And if you
Hands down.
notice,
That one is not even, it's not even a, how should I put it? It's not, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And whether you like it or not, the way technology with gaming has been moving, it improves your relationship skills, because basically you learn to work as a team. Remember, imagine when we are playing Call of Duty Warzone. I mean, you have to tell your teammates where you're going, where you want them to stay, how you want them to respond, and things like that. It actually also works on team skill, because people later realize that you are not just a one-man army. You have to work, you have to create an effective team. So people are actually learning how to work with other people, even people that they've never met, people they've never even met before. So they're actually learning to work with people. So there's a lot of things that esports does that we people are not yet paying attention to it. But I think once the light has been shed by people like us, I believe that so many people will come on board.
okay, cool, thanks. Musa,
Yeah.
you are part of esports in Guinea. Is there any plans or any framework to be able to educate existing professionals about esports? Because now esports is for everybody, not just for the younger kids. So in esports in Guinea, is there any plan or is there any existing method to educate professionals in Guinea?
Let's say it is on project. We have already finished to prepare everything. We are trying now to be in relation with the government guy to put everything on step, and also rent a place where we will receive people for training.
Okay.
All are already prepared for that. What we were struggling on was this confinement period, because gamers cannot move like what we want or what we have planned to do. So now we are obliged to make some event, let's say in some apartment at home. But according to the plan for training, and also even not just the gamers, the professional can come just to learn what it is about, and not only for esport has esport for being an athlete, but also to learn how to make streaming, how to create content, how to make some collaterals job due to esports. all of that was planned to be active.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Steven and Wale, I know you guys are prominent members of Esports Nigeria. Is there any plan or is there any framework already on ground to educate, more professionals, as people in your network who are engineers, doctors, even teachers? Is there any framework or any plan for that to educate more Nigerians about esports?
Okay. Let me go first. Yes. So yes, definitely. Esport Nigeria just recently, divided divided the Esport Nigeria into several arms and departments and what have you. So yeah, we are currently working on a framework to actually make sure that we have an organized structure, for esport going forward. And of recent, I partnered with an online platform called Fuse Unisports, and we did the first ever esports career webinar. And this
Okay.
was in conjunction with Hitmarker, the leading platform for esport jobs in the world. So, and basically, we had so many people actually showing interest, even lawyers. There was a lawyer from UK. She was like, she wants to get tips on how to actually enter the esport industry. And yeah, so we envisage more programs like this, and that's why we are calling everybody to come together, because we can't do it if we don't have partners. And so, just like the webinar, where we had the CEO of Hitmarker come to talk about the various careers that exist, how they can actually access these opportunities, and we also had the Nigerian version, so that people don't just people are not swept away by the international what do you call it now, sweetness of the industry without actually facing the reality of esport in Nigeria. So we had the Nigerian version also, where the president of Esport Nigeria and the vice president also came to speak to participants. So yeah, we want to actually keep on doing programs like this, keep on doing initiatives like this, and also through Esport Nigeria, we want to have a very unique structure that we can use to actually boost the esport industry here in Nigeria. And very, very soon, people will soon start to see results.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Wale?
All right. I believe that Stephen has said a lot of things, and he's really right on it. There are a couple of plans that Esport Nigeria actually has. They've rolled out to get more people, and I think the general goal, the first thing that we need to do is to sensitize people about it. And they've been going about it in the good way. A lot of leagues have started up, and if people have been paying attention correctly, there's been some shakes around some prominent Nigerian esports brands have actually been doing well, especially on the mobile platform. When you talk of PUBG and Call of Duty Mobile. So I believe that it's these baby steps that they are making that is taking us to where we want to go to. And ideally, I think in the future, esports will actually be very tailored in Nigeria because it will have a focus. It will have a different. How should I say that? There will be a very different outlook to esports in Africa generally, and I believe that mobile-based content will be king, kind of in a way. So, and most of those things are coming to play. I'm beginning to see some of these foundations being set up, and basically, I feel the more if we continue in this path, we are going to come out on top of it and really show people how to do mobile esports. So basically, that's just my take on it. Based on the question, I believe that there are a lot of things that are happening now that are showing promise to what the future will lie for us as concerning African esports.
Okay, thank you for that insight, Dr. Wale. So one thing that is common amongst everyone, no matter your career, is entertainment, and we know esports is a form of entertainment. Would close with this question. We know that the popular industries for entertainment in Africa: music, movies, comedy. And like president of esports have said, Emmanuel, he has forecasted that esports is the next thing to join that list, and there's a possibility of it overtaking some on that list. What's your take on that? I will throw that to Moussa.
Sorry, I have not got you well at the end of your question. I have not get you well. I have not got you well. If you can come back.
Okay, so let me repeat myself.
Okay.
It's esports is a form of entertainment. Many have said it's the next thing for entertainment in Africa. And you already have the movie industry, you also have the music industry, and you have comedy. How fast do you think esports is going to join that list? And do you think it's going to overtake, music, comedy, and movies in the nearest future?
Yes, what you have said, and what also the president of the Esports Federation has said is, I think it is right. According to how people are getting into esport movement, we can say that at least in 2 years, because before the 4G in most of the country, talking about the telecommunication usage, talking about the let's say the social medias, uh, people were let's say people was not let's say they were not actually more focused on what we can call at uh, games. They were only going to get content like movies, like you said. But now, what they are looking for, I have seen some statistic that showing that interactive movie or interactive training are more and more interesting and are more and more requested by people. And when I take the let's say the parallelism in between interactive movie, interactive pictures, and playing a game, at least you are almost in the same area, talking about the reactivity of the content in front of you. So I can believe that in maybe in 2 or 3 years, like Dr. Wale said, mobile game will be more and more developed in Africa. And as you know, it is easy to get a mobile by getting a console. So for African, it will be at least easy to get, let's say, the esport developed on the mobile more than the picture and more than also the movie, like what I have seen. But music, it will be for instance, it already more than music. But what I can say, according to what we are trying to say, music is going also with the gaming, because you cannot use the game without incorporating a music behind, so it can go in parallel.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dr. Wale.
Okay, that was actually a nice take from Musa. Now, you would not believe, just few hours ago, I actually just finished watching a YouTube video, and the video was Warzone. I was just watching a team of guys. It was a 17 minutes video, and I can't believe I watched it. So, basically, the guy recorded his gameplay. What's his YouTube handle again? I think it's Jack Frags. So he recorded his gameplay on Warzone, where it was almost very impossible. Only God knows how many times they revived them in that match, but they actually came out on top.
Oh, wow.
But the truth is, esports entertainment is there. And that was what I realized. I realized that I can watch esports content. I can watch it. And I think we have someone on our platform who does that. Quintus Gaming, that's Kame. He does that.
Yeah.
And it's really entertaining. When you watch what he does on mobile, it's actually really, really entertaining. And I believe that a time will come where just as people do skits with on videos, Instagram, with different music sets. I believe that some very funny esports skits will be coming out very soon. A lot of people will be using esports to deliver some certain level of entertainment. It could be comedic, it could be action packed, it could be in fact you might see some you can actually see someone who might come out with and using esports to give different action subtitles. So it might decide to have a gameplay and then throw in a voiceover from a particular movie on top, and you would think that it is actually the movie, not knowing that it is something entirely different. However, all I'm saying is esports entertainment is there and it is watchable. A lot of people talk about esports content not being watchable and all of that. I mean, I just watched a 17 minutes video on esports alone, somebody just playing it, randomly. How about when you now have a serious competition that the stakes are high, someone is going to win maybe $25,000, and you are like, wow, I've been supporting this guy for a long time, I want to see him play. And a lot of people are also using esports for something, and that's where I want to just list that in, for community engagement. So you have different causes, right? A lot of people want to throw causes. Oh, we want to raise awareness about coronavirus. So let's just use coronavirus, for example. Just look at what the E-Premier League did just last week. These are the things that Africa will be pioneering at some point. You will have a couple of people come together to do a marathon. I've been thinking of doing that for a very long time. Only God knows why I haven't done it. And ideally, the what we want to do is we bring people together. We do marathons to engage people, talk about something. Watch a doctor play a game that he has never played before, or watch. I actually have a colleague of doctors. We play Warzone, we play FIFA. So I've been thinking that we'll be doing such a league where doctors like us will be, sparring each other, and then let's see who comes out on top. So basically, some of these things are going to be happening, and people are definitely going to get entertained. So left for me, I just think it's a matter of time, and Nigerians are so creative, Africans generally are so creative, that out of that little thing, or out of this little thing called esports, somebody is going to make a life out of it.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And Stephen has disconnected, but anyways, I guess I can add my own 2 cents to it. I think when we talk about entertainment, movies, music, comedy, they paid their dues. I think they took a while, I won't say a long while, to get to where they are. I do not think esports is going to take that long in Africa to get to where it needs to be, and that's because, for one thing, the world has turned to a global village, so it's easier for you to access. There's a lot of collaborations. Just a few weeks back, Senegal was playing a friendly with what's it called? Guinea and Senegal played their friendly. Guinea, Nigeria, they're all collaborating with the Caribbeans for a tournament. So I think it's going to move faster. If, for example, if it took the movie industry, I'm just throwing out a number, I'm not saying it's accurate. If it took them, for example, 10 years for them to be able to get to Netflix or to get to, Amazon Prime videos, I don't think, as much as we still cry foul for esports in Africa, that the Western world is neglecting us, I don't think we're going to suffer that long to get the recognition that we really need to get. So I'm saying give and take. Yeah, I'm saying give and take. 2021, 2022, I think we should be there in terms of recognition and the Western world accepting us. I can see Dr. Wale wants to throw in something.
Yes, actually, I wanted to just tell you that I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just what I was saying.
Okay, so Stephen, what do you have to say about esports being a form of entertainment and how
Well,
long do you think it would take?
yeah.
Can you hear us, Stephen?
I think his
Uh,
network is
okay,
lagging a bit.
Yeah, I think
me.
so.
Okay. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you,
Okay.
Stephen.
Yeah. So I've been following discussion from esport mixing with entertainment, and I must say it looks as if some people are actually reading into my mind, because that's all I was thinking of this morning when I woke up, because I was thinking of, okay, how can we actually fuse the two? Because over some time now I've been researching, so I really don't want to take any step yet until I'm done researching. So I've been researching what makes some of these esport organization top notch. So I started from Face Clan, and I discovered that, look, Face Clan is not just about esport. Face Clan is all about how they can fuse their esport with other aspects of entertainment. So you see them rolling with artists, you see them doing some other things, comedy. In fact, if you go to Face Clan's YouTube page, it's just pure comedy. Because the last one I watched was them asking who was the smartest in Face Clan. They were insulting Face Jarvis for using an aimbot to cheat in an esport tournament. So I just found out that I think that's the approach we need to take here in Africa, because over time we've been doing the direct approach, which is esports only. People are yet to even how will I put it now, come to the fact that esports is actually a thing. So I feel like the next step is actually to use those means of entertainment that people are already used to actually connect to them. So you are talking of comedy, music, whether poetry, and as much things that you can think of. So I feel like, yes, if we start taking that approach, 2021, 2022, it's actually a realistic goal for us to actually be on the top there with other developing countries, or even developed countries, when it comes to esports. But first, we need to figure out that aspect of connecting with the general public. So it can be through music, it can be through comedy, and so on and so forth. So going forward, that should be the strategy for esports organizations and esports setups here in Africa. That's
Okay.
my take.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. That is all the time that we have for today. I would like to, especially thank each and every one of you for joining
Yeah, that's
us.
my take.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
all for me. That's all.
Okay, you're having a lag, but thank you very much for joining us. Musa, thank you so much for taking time out. Dr. Wale, thank you so
Yeah.
much
Yeah,
Thank
once
thank
you.
you.
once
Thank you
again
so
for
much.
joining us.
Yeah,
Stephen,
it's always a pleasure.
yeah,
Always a pleasure.
hopefully we can come back and just
Thank you.
talk about the future and how far esports Nigeria, esports
Thank
in
you.
Africa
Always a
rather has
pleasure.
gone.
Hopefully.
Okay, all right then. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hopefully, definitely.